Okay, good morning, my monks brothers here at Papa Meditation Retreat Center in the Monks Life Project. And good morning, good evening, everyone, all the Dhamma students who joined this Zoom meeting. Again, my name is Longpi Narongchai. Those of you who are new to this channel, every Friday morning we have the Sutta study with all the international monks here in the Monks Life Project. And I'm thinking of not just sharing the teaching of the Dhamma to the international monks who join the training and ordination here. So we decided to broadcast the lecture for the Dhamma student or anybody who is interested in learning the teaching of the Buddha, especially learning from the Buddhist scripture that open the opportunity for everyone to join this particular Dhamma session on every Friday morning. The sutra today is quite advanced. Okay, we have talked about the Four Noble Truths, we have talked about the Eightfold Path, and those also considered an advanced teaching of the Buddha. Okay, very advanced. And in order for us to understand the dukkha and how to free ourselves from dukkha, this particular teaching is very essential. It plays an essential role for us to understand the concept of dukkha and how to remove it. Okay, and that is why before we go further to another teaching, I would like to finish all the core teaching of the Buddha that help us to understand the nature of life, the nature of dukkha, and how to free ourselves from dukkha. Because the essence of the teaching of the Buddha coming down to two elements. The first element is about understanding the nature of life, that life is dukkha. And the second element is once life is dukkha and dukkha come from cause, this is craving, and how can a man can remove those cause of dukkha so he can be free. That's the two important elements that for you to keep in mind when you study the teaching of the Buddha. When we study the First Noble Truth, the Buddha mentioned about birth, aging, death, sickness, illness, lamentation, distress and pain, those kind of things. Okay, it's point to the word dukkha, routine suffering or occasional suffering. Suffering come and go. But the one sentence that the Buddha mentioned in the First Noble Truth, which is dukkha, and this one comes from different discourses. Okay, the Buddha said about, he used different words that explain the word dukkha. He said the desire, indulgence, inclination, and holding or grasping based on these five aggregates or khanda in Pali, affected by clinging, is the origin of dukkha or suffering. Okay, so wrong clinging on these five aggregates, that's the root cause of dukkha. So the key word here is clinging. Clinging on what? Clinging on five aggregates. So it's our job to fully understand what it means by five aggregates and why do we, as a human being, we cling on it wrongly. And that is why this lecture, to me, it's one of the advanced teaching and it's very deep. There are many ways to talk about the five aggregates. Okay, I believe as a Buddhist, you have come across this concept or this kind of Dhamma topic already. But today, I'm going to take you to the Buddhist text. So to keep this scheme in mind, when we learn about the concept of the five aggregates, we will get to know all of them. Form, feeling, cognition, thinking, or consciousness. We get to know all of this. At the same time, I want to reflect on each one of these factors to know why it causes us suffering. Okay, knowing the impermanence of each aggregate. So keep that in mind. Okay, why form is dukkha, why feeling is dukkha, why thinking or consciousness cause us dukkha. So keep this question in mind. Since there are many teachings that the Buddha talk about the five aggregates in the Buddhist text, it is that this is maybe one of the topics that the Buddha talked very often through his 45 years of his teaching career. About the five aggregates, about the true nature of life. Why? Because the Buddha wants everyone to understand the concept of dukkha. And the wrong clinging on five aggregates causes us dukkha. And that is why everyone should know and understand the word five aggregates. Right? So there are many places that talk about the five aggregates. So here in this lecture, I will pick only 3 or 4. Okay, 3 or 4 of the sutra that the Buddha talked about the five aggregates. The first one, so I give you reference because in case you want to go back and study by yourself. Okay, and the first one, this one, is called Khajjaniya Sutra, okay, in Samyutta Nikaya. Khajjaniya Sutra. To me, I found this sutra is very interesting because it is the sutra that the Buddha gave a very simple and clear explanation of each of the aggregate. He used like simple example, just like an ordinary man can understand what it means by form, what it means by feeling, what it means by sanya, what it means by consciousness. It's super simple example in this one sutra that I found. Okay, among 159 sutra, okay, in Samyutta Nikaya that talk about 5 aggregates. Today we're going to learn a few of them. Okay, but if you are interested, okay, go explore all of these 159 sutra. And the second sutra is called Anicca Sutra. Okay, and the third one, Silawanta Sutra. As you can see, all of them come from Samyutta Nikaya. Why do we have to know 5 aggregates? Okay, there are many places that the Buddha mentioned the importance of knowing this. So I pick one of these for you from Anicca Sutra. He said, the 5 aggregate monks are anicca or impermanent. Whatever is impermanent, that is dukkha or unsatisfactoriness or oppression. Whatever is dukkha, that is without attaa or self or anatta. Anatta means without attaa, okay, or without self. What is without self? That is not mine. That am I not. That is not myself. Thus, should it be seen by perfect wisdom? Here's another keyword. As it really is. Should be seen by perfect wisdom as it really is. Who sees by perfect wisdom as it really is? His mind is not grasping. Is detached from taints, and he is liberated. You see, there are many keywords in this just one short teaching of the Buddha, trying to tell us the importance of 5 aggregates, of knowing them, of fully understand, each one of them. Number one, it's come with the 3 characteristics, right? This is anicca, impermanent. It's dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, and it's anatta. We'll come back to this in a moment, okay? I explain 3 of these keywords in a moment. And at the same time, if we see this by perfect wisdom point to what? Point to an ultimate truth. An ultimate truth, not just conventional truth. Now we're talking about something very advanced. We look at things as the true nature of a human being. Now you see me as monks, a man or then a monk, Luang Pi Narong Chai, Luang Pi A, Luang Pi B. This is conventional truth. That's me. I am exist in this world, and people give me a name. My name is Narong Chai. I am a Buddhist monk. This is conventional truth. But the ultimate truth, if we zoom into my body, zoom into your body, we don't see where is Luang Pi Narong Chai. We don't see a being. We see a 5 group of aggregate. Condition stay together with condition. And that's what we are trying to understand when we study the concept of the 5 aggregate, to help us liberated. So we're not grasping on this. This means body, feeling, right, thinking, all of these 5 aggregate. We will not cling on it once we fully understand. This is called perfect wisdom. And the reason we cling on this because we have 10. What is 10? 10 means asava, 10 means defilement, 10 means craving, 10 means, mental impurity. So the mind detached from it. Once the mind detached from 10, where do we go? The mind go to liberation state. This is it. That's why the understanding the 5 aggregate is super important. Okay, as a Buddhist monk, people who walk on this spiritual life journey, you must understand that. And another thing to point out here is the word self, right? Or attaa. Okay. Self and non-self is a big topic. Back then, in the Buddha time, people believe in permanent self or permanent soul. When a man dies, that spirit go to a different form of life, but he's still the same person. And that same person have been traveling to this samsara for a countless lifetime until he have reached to the final destination, which is go back to the bigger soul, the bigger self somewhere. And that's what people believe. But the Buddha teach something oppositely. He reject that permanent soul idea. So there's a another thing called anatta, there is no permanent self, okay, which he gave as a second teaching. The first one he gave Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, right, to the first 5 students. After his enlightenment, he go find them and he teach them the first teaching, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. And the second teaching, he teach about anatta. He teach about no permanent self. And that is why the first, second, and the third teaching of the Buddha, to me, is very important. They are very important because it gives us the idea, a lot of what the Buddha trying to teach, what the Buddha trying to explain. And here is in general, right? Human being, we have body and we have a mind. Everyone seems to know that. No question about it. We know that we have body and we have mind. Okay, and that is conventional truth, right? Body we know. How many of us know that we have mind? Where is the mind? What composes the mind? What makes the mind? What is the food of the mind? What size, what shape of the mind? We have no idea. Buddha is the mind expert. He knows that, the mind, human mind from inside out. The mind has defilement. In order for us to remove defilement, we have to see that defilement first, and then we can remove it. That means a person who can remove defilement or hindrances or asava or anything, whatever you call it. And that person has the first ability, he has to be able to see his own mind first, then he can clean it. Okay, so body and mind, we seem to know that in general. And another information to keep in mind before we go into each aggregate is everything is compound. All compound things subject into these 3 common characteristics. Every single thing, human, animal, object, tree, mountain, stone, flowers, buildings, car, as long as they are compound things, they subject to these 3 characteristics. So it's very helpful to understand this concept, keep this concept in mind before we zoom in each particular of the aggregate. The first one, sapphe sankhara anicca. There is a word here, sankhara anicca. Sankhara is the big word, just like the Dhamma. It's very confusing. Sankhara in this and Sankhara in the 5 aggregate, they call the same, spell the same, read the same, but they don't mean the same thing at all. Okay, in this case, Sankhara mean what? Condition. All conditioned things are impermanent. That's number 1. Impermanent mean what? Impermanent means it cannot remain the same. Okay, it comes with the sense of passing. It comes with the sense of passing away. When you hear the word anatta, you think of passing away. It's rise and fall all the time, moment to moment. That's anatta. Second characteristic of the compound thing is sapphe sankhara dukkha. All conditioned things are unsatisfactory or unsustainable. We cannot sustain it. Similar to anatta, similar to anicca. It continues changing, constantly changing, and it's unsustainable. Cannot remain the same, even one moment. And the last one, sapphe dhamma anatta. Again, we run into another difficult word, which is Dhamma. And that's very confusing to see the word Dhamma appears here. If we replace the word Dhamma with Sankhara, everything's clear. All conditioned things are not self. Not self mean what? Controllable. If we can control, that can be self. If anything we cannot control, that cannot call self. Keep it simple. So here, I don't want to debate about the word Dhamma in this particular teaching. Okay, just keep it simple. Anything that condition, including 5 aggregate, none of these elements in the body can be controllable. That's the idea, because they are conditioned. Okay, so sapphe dhamma anatta point to 5 aggregate. That 5 aggregate is uncontrollable and it's subject to change and it's unsustainable. Okay, all right. So the meaning of khandha or aggregate. Khandha can be heaps, can be aggregate, can be collection, can be grouping, anything pile up together is called khan. Okay, a heap of sand, a pile of sand, of money, a pile of book, an aggregate of book. Okay, it's in general of the word khandha. So now we're talking about the five aggregate, right? Five aggregate or pancha. Pancha means five. Khanta, again, aggregate. This is Pali and English. Sometimes we have to kind of learn both, okay? Because the Buddhist text, all of them come from Pali language, and then it's get translated to English, get translated to Thai, get translated to different languages. So here, five aggregate. That means there are five things, right? Five factor, five domain, five heap. Okay, the first heap or the first pile is called form, Rupa. Rupa is form or material. That's the first group, first aggregate. Get to know the name first, okay? And the second is called Vedana in Pali or feeling in English. And the third aggregate is called Sanya. Okay, Sanya, perception. Perceive, be perceived. Then we get to know the meaning in a moment. And the number four is Sankhara. Sankhara, English translate to mental formation. Sometimes they call volitional formation. I don't know which one makes sense to you. Formation, Sankhara. And number five is called Vinyana. Again, this is another confusing word when you study Dhamma. Okay, Vinyana translates to consciousness. Okay. All right. So here the word Sankhara appear here again, right? Same thing with this. This is also Sankhara, but this Sankhara point to condition, something compound. That means two things put together, it compound. This is Sankhara. But here in the five aggregates, Sankhara, it doesn't mean that. Sankhara here means the formation of your thinking. You have ability to think. That's called Sankhara. Think good, think bad, think not good, not bad. Okay? Make sure you don't mix them up. Okay, just to recap, in the eyes of the Buddha and the Arahant, this is how they see the five aggregates. This is the true ultimate truth about human component. We have body, this is body or form. And we have mind. Okay? The mind comes with four elements. 1, 2, 3, 4. With two of these together, form, okay, body and mind together, it's become human being. If the body without the mind is called the corpse, the dead body. If the mind without the physical body, what do we call? We call ghost maybe, we call spirit maybe, we call soul maybe, we call something else. So in order for us to be a complete human being, we need these two elements to stay together with condition. Okay, body and mind. And if we zoom into deeper, the body is a condition. Condition means there are more than one thing stay together, right? What are those things? English translate to the word element. Okay, what element? Earth, water, fire, wind, air. There are five elements here that make us a physical form of a human being. What is earth? Earth is an element, something solid, right? Bone, teeth, nail, something solid. Water, something liquid, right? The blood, saliva, okay? There are many liquid in the body. Fire is the temperature. If we don't have temperature, we die. If we are overheated, we may get infected with COVID-19 or get fever. So we need the fire element to maintain this physical body. And the third one is wind. What's the difference between wind and air? Air can be considered a space in the body. In the body, it has space between lung and bone, between your diaphragm and between your internal organs. There are some space in the body. Wind is the gas, right? The wind means air that's moving, right? We have gas, we breathe in and we breathe out, and that's called wind. Okay, but if there's some empty space in the body, and that's called air element. Okay, so there are five elements that make us make this physical body. And for the mind, there are four things as well. Okay, feeling, remembering, thinking, and knowing, which is come from this one. This is body. and 4 of these make human mind, okay, body and mind. So altogether 5 of these make us a human being. Okay, form, sensation, perception, mental formation, and consciousness make us a human being. Again, this is something advanced. Okay, today we're going to zoom into the text to see what the Buddha explained and try to understand that. Okay, in this 1 hour lecture. Okay, all right. Start from number 1. What is mean by form or rupa? This is what it says in the text. This is I really like the Buddha explain. He keep it very simple. Okay, when he give this particular sutra, he said, "Why monks do you think is called form? The reason it's called form because it is the form. Bhikkhu, bhikkhu means monks. Therefore, it is called form. Deformed by what? Deformed by cold, by heat, by hunger, by thirst, by contact with fly, with mosquito, wind, sun, and reptile. And that's why it's called form. Very simple. Form means something breakable. Okay, so it decay. It's breakable. It decay. It cannot sustain. This is form. It can be destroyed by cold, by heat. That means by weather, right? If we in the cold weather, we don't have anything to protect this body. This form break. It's dying. If we don't have food, we feel hungry, we feel thirsty, we have no food, no water, this body break apart, die. That's why it's called form. Okay, form also refer to something that it contact, it can physical touch with sun, with wind, with mosquito. This is form. This is material. Okay, in the material world, something that the eye can see, something that you can touch. This is form. Understandable. Okay, so human, animal, object, you name it, they are form. And why form is considered dukkha? Now we know what form is. Why is dukkha? What is the definition of dukkha? Dukkha in this 5 aggregate. Dukkha means something what? It's oppression. It cannot sustain. It's always have oppression. That's why it's dukkha. Form, the Buddha used the simile to the foam, the lump of foam. When you look at foam, foam is hollow. Foam is very vain. Foam, there is nothing in the foam. So form and foam is similar. There's nothing in this form. It's hollow. It's emptiness. It's very vain. It's nothing. That's in the eyes of the ultimate truth. So form, there's nothing in the form. And the reason is dukkha because why? Because it's oppressed. Right? It's getting old the day we born. And we cannot stop that aging process. Eventually this form break apart. Sooner or later, it will break. If you don't eat, you die. If you don't drink, you die. If it's too hot, you die. If it's too cold, we die. And that is why it's considered dukkha. It cannot remain the same as you wish. Okay, so just keep it simple for now about the form. Because it's compound, right? With earth element, water element, wind element, fire element, and air element. It's compound. When it's compound, it is breakable. It's subject to change. We cannot sustain this. And eventually we die. All of these elements go back to nature. Wherever they come from, it's go back to nature. And this body is gone, cremated. Go back to nature. It's break up. Okay? And the second one is called feeling or Vedana in Pali. What is feeling then? So the Buddha, he gave very simple explanation. And why do you call it feeling? Why? Oh, okay. Because it feel. It can feel. Very simple, right? Feel what? Feel pleasant, feel unpleasant, and feel neutral. Because you can feel. See, the first element of the mind is the mind can feel. Feel pleasant, feel unpleasant, feel neutral. At least there are 3 kinds of feeling. Sometimes the Buddha explained 5 kinds of feeling. But here let's keep it simple. 3 kinds of feeling. We feel good, we feel not good, and we feel neither one of them. Feel neutral. And why feeling or this aggregate is consider dukkha. Why clinging on this aggregate is dukkha? Why it causes us suffering? Feeling, okay, nature of the mind. If we look at the level of excitement, right? When the mind gets excited, positive excitement, the mind move, is go up there. And when the mind gets something negative, we call negative excitement, feel pleasant, feel unpleasant, it go down there, something negative, negative energy. But when there is no excitement, the mind stay neutral here, not good, not bad. If we see something we like, start from I like it, I feel good about it, I feel pleasant about it, the mind get excited, it jump off the base, it go up, I like it. I like the food, I like the phone, I like people, I like the movie. The mind get excited. It go after that object. And if the mind sees something or we see something we don't like, we also get excited about it. I don't like it. Okay, I want to run away from it. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to eat it. But if you don't feel anything at all, the mind stay neutral. And this is called feeling. There is no one single moment that the mind don't consume feeling. Feeling is the food of the mind. It's consume pleasant, consume unpleasant, or consume neutral. It's always, you think of one chair, okay, one chair with 3 people, okay, 3 people keep on dancing, and when the song stops, one person can only get a chance to sit on that chair. So these 3 people are dancing all the time in your mind, and when the music stops, only one person can take the chair, whether pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, or neutral feeling. No 2 of them can sit on the same chair. This is the mind. The mind is the chair, and these 3 guys keep on dancing. The question is why feeling causes us dukkha? Why feeling causes us suffering? Feeling pleasant sound good, right? We should be happy, right, when we feel good. But happiness, we feel happy because we don't have much of suffering. And then that happiness will not last long, it come back down again. Same thing with the unpleasant feeling. Everything up and down, rise and fall. We can look at this as feeling come with the disease, come with virus. What is the disease of pleasant or feeling good? Is come from greed or raga. The reason you go after that clothes, that phone, that food, because of greed. And once you have it, you want to sustain it. You want to keep it forever. You want to go back and eat it again. You want to go back and buy it again. You want to go back and consume it again. It's come with greed. That's the disease that comes from pleasant feeling. What the disease that comes from unpleasant feeling is come from hatred, is come from anger, or we call dosa. Right? The reason we don't like it because we have anger mind. It's driven by that anger energy. That's why I don't like it. I want to destroy it. I want to run away from it. I want to give it away because I don't like it. Neutral also come with the disease. It's come with moha. Moha is another word for delusion. The reason we don't feel good or don't feel bad because we don't know how to feel. It's ignorant. We just don't know how to make decision. We just, okay, I'm there. It doesn't mean neutral feeling is always good. The reason we don't feel agitated because we don't know what to do about it. Okay, so reflect on that. And that is why it causes us suffering, because all of this is come and go. It's rising and falling all the time, every moment, every breath that we take. And that is the definition of dukkha, is oppressed. Okay, it oppressed, it cannot stay the same. Can you force yourself to feel happy all day long? The first moment you wake up until you go to bed, can you keep on smiling all day long? Or can you stay in the sadness all day long? 1 day, 1 week, 1 month? No, the mind doesn't work like that. When it finds something more excited, it go after that thing. Okay, a man may be being sad because his girlfriend left him. He sad, he cry, he drink, and all of a sudden tomorrow he won lottery, $100 million. He forget about that woman. The mind go after money. Happy. Yesterday crying. Today happy, like different man, like in different world. Forget about yesterday. Today I'm a rich man. I won the lottery. You see, It's up and down, right and fall. It change moment to moment. That is why it's considered dukkha. What is perception? Sanya. Sanya is number 3 of the 5 aggregate. Perception or sanya. Perception, this is what the Buddha said. Why do you call this perception? Why do you call it sanya? Because it's perceived. Very simple word. It's perceived. Therefore, it called perception. It perceives what? Here is even more simple example the Buddha used. He said it perceives blue, perceives yellow, perceives red, and perceives white. Okay, it's perceived form, right? It perceives form. It perceives what you see. Oh, okay, that yellow, that orange, that man, that woman, that flower, that cat, that dog. It perceives. Perceive can use, if this difficult for you, why don't you use the word memory? Okay, or you remember. It has ability to memorize. It has ability to remember. Oh, that's why you know this is orange color. This is rose. This is man. This is woman. This is car. You know, because you have ability to perceive. But perceive not only just the form. You can perceive your memory in the past. Let's say you have a friend in high school. You never met him for a very long time, 20 years, and all of a sudden you met him down the street. You can still remember his name, where he lived, how he looked like when he was in the high school with you. So that is perception. Okay, let's test your perception. What is this come to your mind? What do you perceive from this picture? James Bond, right? 007. Oh, you know, all of a sudden, first thing come to your mind, James Bond is the spy, and this is the action movie. You know that automatically. And what usually James Bond car, what does he drive? Aston Martin. Great car, right? Aston Martin. So you not only, oh, okay, you know the car, you memorize that. That car is the car of James Bond, Aston Martin. And James Bond is the action movie. James Bond is the spy. So a lot of things come automatically right after you see this picture. Right after this picture comes to your eye and go to your mind. Your memory come back about that, about him, about the movie, James Bond. What is Sankhara? Number 4. Sankhara is a mental formation. Again, this is another big word, right? I mentioned earlier. Sankhara, Anicca in the beginning of the lecture. Sankhara, Anicca means all compound things subject to change. They are impermanent. But don't get mixed up with the word Sankhara in the 5 aggregate. 5 aggregate, the word Sankhara in 5 aggregate means mental formation. We have ability to think. I keep it simple. Mental formation means thinking. Think good, think bad, not good, not bad. And this is how the Buddha explained. Why do you call them mental formation? They construct the condition. They construct what? They construct form as form. They construct feeling as feeling. They construct perception as perception. They construct mental formation as mental formation. And they construct consciousness as consciousness. Basically, the mind can think. Okay, this aggregate is the aggregate of formation, of thinking, of cooking. Think of the chef. Chef is a man who cook, right? Vegetable, egg, meat, sauce, put together and cook. He is the one who cook. He is the one who fix the food. And the responsibility of this aggregate is to cook your thinking. Whatever come into your eye, ear, nose, he cook. Okay? It creates the thinking. So dukkha, why sankhara is dukkha? Why clinging on mental formation is dukkha? We cling on what we think, right? We cling on our view. We want us to be happy and we want to remain happy forever. We cling on the feeling in the past. We cling on the sankhara, thinking in the past. Oh, that's, you know, when I was 18, I have a good life, I have a girlfriend, you know, life was good, and then that life is gone, no more. So if you are cling on that, the mental formation take you back to the past. You cling on that, oh, I wish I can go back in time, fix that and fix this. And then you trap in the realm of the past. You don't live in the present moment. And this one way of looking at it, why it causes us suffering. because we're not at the present moment. We have ability to think happy, think ourselves to be happy, or think ourselves to be unhappy. It depends on the thinking. And that is why a lot of people have depression, have stress, because of this aggregate, not knowing how to control this aggregate, to think in a wholesome way. Okay? Many people think in one day, okay, more negative than positive. That's why this can cause us suffering easily, because we don't know how to control this aggregate. Okay, but do we have ability to control it? Because they are impermanent. Okay? In a certain level, yes, but in the ultimate level, we cannot. It's rise and fall, it's come and go. Okay, it cannot remain. You cannot force yourself to think good all day long. Thought will change, thought come and go. And the last one is Vinyana. Vinyana, again, this is another confusing word, right? Vinyana, people think of ghost or spirit of something that leaves the body after we die. But here in this particular sentence, the Buddha gives explanation of what he means by Vinyana in the 5 aggregate only. Okay? And why do you call it consciousness? Because it cognizes. Cognize mean what? Let's translate English to English again. Cognize mean what? It knows. It can know. It's a knowing element. Therefore, it is called consciousness. It cognizes what? It cognizes sour, it cognizes bitter, it cognizes spicy, it cognizes sweet, it cognizes sharp, it cognizes mild, it cognizes salty, it cognizes bland. You see how the Buddha gives a very simple explanation what he means by consciousness. Consciousness, you know, the food that you eat is sweet, it's sour, it's spicy, it's mild. You know, you cognize the taste. This is just the food. But you cognize everything. You cognize James Bond. You cognize Aston Martin. You cognize food. You cognize clothes. You cognize, a lot of things. This is the number 5 of the 5 aggregate. The heap of cognition, the heap of consciousness. It has ability to know. So here is again Vinyana. Okay, consciousness. Number 1. Vedana 2. Sanya 3, Sankhara number 4. The body is here somewhere. Okay, we don't talk about the body or form. Okay, we talk about the 2, 3, 4, 5 element of the 5 aggregate, which is feeling, okay, remembering, thinking, and consciousness. And this is how it works. When the body we're talking about these 5 sense door, right? The eye. This is eye consciousness, we call sight. Eye consciousness, ear consciousness, tongue consciousness, touch consciousness, and nose consciousness. Touch means body consciousness. There is something called consciousness of these 5 sense door. Why it's important? Before you can have a feeling, consciousness have to happen first. Okay, when you see object, whether food, clothes, people, after you see that object, the object come to your eye and it go to your mind. Okay, and consciousness recognize that, oh, okay, that's a man, that's a woman, that's the car, that's the food. Consciousness happening first. This is the gate that information comes through. Without consciousness arrive, then we don't know what it is. We don't know what it is. There are many times that we sit with eyes open. We see people walking by. You sit in the office, you know people walking by, but your mind is not with you. Your consciousness is not with the eye. You know there's a man walking. You don't know what his name until your consciousness is back and you look at that object carefully. Now you know, oh, here's a Jimmy. Jimmy wearing blue jeans. Jimmy is my boss. Without consciousness, the eye just have something pass through the eye and it doesn't know what it is. So consciousness happening first. And then we have feeling toward what we see. Then we can remember, oh, he is the man and his name is Jimmy. He's my boss. And then we can think of that object. Oh, my boss is a good boss. But it starts from consciousness first. That's the starting point of, having understand the process of the 5 aggregate. Start from consciousness and then go to feeling, go to remembering, and go to thinking. And another information I think is quite interesting. The mind can perceive one thing at a time. It can perceive one thing at a time, or it can think of one thing at a time. When the eye see the object, the ear hear the sound, you may feel like it happened perfectly simultaneously at the same time. But the ultimate truth is no. Vinyana or consciousness happen one thing at a time. When the eye see, it see. When the ear hear, it hear. It cannot happen on the same chair at the same time. Okay, but it happened very quickly. Just like the electricity, right? We don't see the electricity as a graph here, up and down. We see that, oh, there's a light here, perfect light. But if we zoom into that electricity, okay, using the computer, advanced computer, we can see that electric has like a graph up and down, but it's rise and fall very quickly. Same thing with human mind. Okay, just keep this information with you. And let's test your 5 aggregate. What comes to your mind when you see this picture? It's almost lunch. Automatically, the eye see the burger. And right away, you remember this is food, and that food is called burger. And that burger made from bread, and that bread come with meat and some vegetable. And it also come with French fry, and sometimes it's come with Coca-Cola. What you see, what you remember, what you think, what you feel, it happens simultaneously, automatically. This is how the mind works. It's happening very fast. But if you zoom in deeper, its aggregate has their own function. Eye see, ear, right? Eye can see, then you feel. When you feel, you can think of what you see, think good or think bad. If you feel like, oh, this is a good food, I'm going to go get it. And some people feel differently. You know what? This is junk food. I'm not going to eat it. You see, we have different feeling toward what we see. Depend on what? Depend on your thinking of that thing that you see. I'm thinking of this food, I feel it's a junk food. I'm not going to eat it. But for some people think, oh, my favorite food, I'm going to buy it. And that causes a different level of happiness. We have different kind of craving. Okay, you see how 5 aggregate, the clinging on 5 aggregate causes us dukkha. If we cling on the taste, cling on what we see, we're going to go buy it. Doesn't matter how much that it costs. I'm going to eat it. But for another person, you know what? It doesn't matter how much that it costs. Even though someone gives it to me for free, I'm not going to eat it because it's unhealthy. Okay, it's create different level of happiness and sadness in our daily life. Okay, almost done. I know today is the big topic, and with 1 hour, I like you to see what is said in the text, understand the term, and see the big picture of the 5 aggregate. Then please go back to study because this is an advanced Dhamma topic. Here in one teaching of one Bhikkhuni Arahant, okay, her name is Vachira Bhikkhuni in Vachira Sutra. She gave a very interesting explanation of 5 aggregate in her view. She said, just as with assemble of the part, the word chariot is used. I don't have chariot, so I use the car. Because of all of this, the wheel, the window, the gas tank, the light, the door, all of this put together, that's why it's called a car. That's what she means. So when the aggregate exists, there is the convention term of the being. The reason why we call Long P, Long Chai, why we call Mr. A, Mr. B, because of the composition of these 5 aggregates. Because they exist, 5 of them exist and they stay together. We have to give them a name. We have to call them something. So we call them being. It's only suffering or dukkha that's come to be, suffering that stand and fall away. Nothing but suffering come to be, nothing but suffering seed. This is deep. There is no being in the eyes of Arahant. There is no I, there is no me, there is no mind at all. And that point to the word of what? Self. There is no such thing called self. It's nothing, it's just an aggregate that stay together with condition. And that is why you may hear many monks teach that, you know what, life there is nothing, it's just suffering. Suffering exists, suffering stands, suffering fall away. Nothing exists but suffering. Don't just hear it, think upon it. Think a little bit deeper of what it means. Okay, why we suffering? The reason we're suffering because we cling on so much on self, That's why we're suffering. Almost done. Here is another teaching that the Buddha gave. He said, Bhikkhu, this body you mean form, right? Is not yours, nor does it belong to others, not yours. It is what? It is ogama, to be seen as generated and fashioned by volition, as something to be felt. If anyone see this, see life, see form as the way they are, you are liberated. If you truly see life, nature of life like this. There is no woman called Mary. There's no man called Jimmy. There's no boy called Tommy. There's no dog called Doggy. Each one of the person that we see here, okay, woman, man, and dog, they are one set of the 5 aggregates. They have form, they have feeling, right? They have Sanya, they have cognition, they have mental formation, and they become one set of 5 aggregates. And when they die, when the body breaks, okay, earth, water, wind, fire go back to the nature. There's no us. There's no real human being. There's no individual. Okay, so what the benefit of learning this? This is the last slide. So what do we learn so far? Even though the concept or the teaching of the doctrine of the 5 aggregates is considered advanced, and it is advanced, okay, but we can still benefit from trying to understand it. The teaching of the Buddha has many level, very deep. If we can divide it into 2 big layer, okay, big level. The first level is called Lokiya, which is the worldly mundane level, living life happy in this very lifetime. Okay, this is the Buddha. Most of the time, the Buddha teach the lay people at this level. He don't teach something deep to the lay people. But when he teach the monk, he talking about Lokutara level or supramundane, talking about Nibbana, talking about liberation. So he teach monk to realize Nibbana directly. But when he teach the lay people, he teach that lay people can apply to their daily life, whoever they are, the king, the businessman, the farmer, the beggar, whoever come to the Buddha, they will receive the right teaching so they can live life happy. So what do we learn? What they can learn or benefit from knowing the 5 aggregates? So if they kind of understand that, okay, you know what? I cannot control this physical body. I born, I get old, eventually I die. I cannot sustain it. I cannot maintain it. I may be able to prolong it, eat good food, exercise, so I can live a little bit longer, but I cannot stop the aging process. Eventually I die. And everyone I know, whether people I love, people I hate, people who love me or people who hate me, we all fall into the same characteristic, which is anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanent, right? Uncontrollable and unsustainable. By understanding this characteristic of everyone fully, so we have ability to let go easily. We have ability to forgive if someone do something bad to you. Eventually we all die, and we also help us to lessen our clinging. Something we love, some people we love die, or we lost business, we lost car, we lost phone, okay, we get sick. So we have less clinging on these 5 aggregates if we understand it. This is how we put into practice. But if you understand 5 aggregates in the supramundane level, then your mind will be liberated, because you will not cling on anything in the whole world. Just like what the Buddha said, that this body is not yours, nor it's not belong to anybody. Okay, this woman is not his wife. This man is not her husband. This is not her son. This is not their dog. It is, right? Conventionally, it is. But ultimately, no. She's just a 5 set of aggregates that stay together with condition. And then we call father, mother, son, dog. But in the eyes of the reality, the ultimate truth, the perfect wisdom, there's no such thing called Mary. There's no such thing called Jimmy. There's no such thing called Tommy. There's no such thing called Doggy. It's just the 5 aggregates that stay together with condition, and eventually they all break. Okay, they all break apart, go back to the nature, and that's it. That's the idea of the 5 aggregates in general. Okay, so this is again the topic today is deep, it advanced, its level of vipassana to see things like this. We cannot intellectually understand the 5 aggregates how it works, but at least, okay, if we kind of try to understand what the Buddha means. So it helps us let go a lot of thought and worry when things go wrong in life, because everything we cling on, they fall into these three characteristics: human, animal, object. Okay, it's impermanent, it's oppression, unsustainable, and it's uncontrollable, whatever it is that you are clinging on at the moment, including your own self. Okay, a lot of information today. Hope you learned something. Please go back and digest on it, reflect on it. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, there are more than 169 sutras the Buddha talked about the five aggregates. So help yourself to explore deeper if you really want to know this particular topic. Today we only touch on a few sutras that the Buddha talks about the five aggregates. Okay, so with that, it's good timing for today. So I'll see you again next Friday. Okay, please go back and study, and have a good day, everyone. Okay, let's pay respect to the triple gem, then we take a break. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagavan Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivantemi Savankanto Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Sanghang Namami.